Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And welcome to the Reverb Common Sense, making sense out of the senseless, only on shrmedia.com. Conservative media done right. This is the show where we don't pull punches, don't play nice with propaganda, and definitely don't waste time pretending the left is just misguided. No, they know exactly what they're doing, and it's time we call it what it is. Organized national sabotage. I am your host, along with Sackhead Sean will be here. He's finishing some stuff up on his home front. And tonight we're slicing through the gaslighting, the lawfare, and open war on sanity that now defines American politics. We've got ICE agents being demonized for doing their jobs, federal judges weaponizing the bench against conservatives, governors like Phil Murphy getting subpoenaed over harboring illegals, and a Democrat lawmaker actually comparing the detention of murderers and pedophiles to fascism. Yeah, you heard that right. Detention of murderers and pedophiles is fascism. As if law and order itself is some kind of hate crime. The left has definitely gone off the deep end head first. We're calling out a media so desperate to protect the regime, it's still parroting Trump-Russia conspiracy theories in 2025. We will dissect the new data showing sanctuary states aren't safer, they're deadlier. We'll show how criminal aliens end up on island like Alligator Alcatraz because blue state leaders rolled out the red carpet for illegals. Well, also, I'll try to fit it in. If not, we'll discuss it on Monday. You have the Democrats now are throwing a hissy fit because they're opening up two military bases, one in Indiana and one in New Jersey, Fort Dix military base, to hold a detention center for illegals. And what does Booker say? It is inhumane to house them there. For those that don't know, our military base at Fort Dix has been there for decades, well before I was even born. We've had military living there for decades. So, what Booker is saying, it's okay to put our military into inhumane situations, but criminals, he draws the line on. We'll uncover how foreign producers are finally being forced to pay for the tariffs they lobbied against, and how that vindicates every economical fight Trump picked on our behalf. And we'll expose the stunning collapse in public confidence in Congress, because 72% of Americans are tired of being lied to. This is more than mismanagement. It's inversion. Everything is upside down, criminals coddled, patriots punished, facts erased, and reality censored. And that's why this show matters, because you're not crazy. You're not extreme. You're not alone. You're just awake, and you are exactly where you need to be. This is Reverb Common Sense, where the truth lives, the spin dies screaming, and America fire never goes out. And before we go any further, hit that like button, smash subscribe, and share this stream like your freedom depends on it, because it just might. Every click helps us punch through big tech censorship, drown out the media noise, and make sure common sense has a fighting chance. This is the Reverb Common Sense, where the truth lives and the nonsense dies screaming. This is a special show. I was unable to do my show last night, so I thought I'd jump on and do a show. And Sackhead Sean agreed to come on so we can have a nice discussion about what's going on in this country. And he is running a few minutes late. He is running on woman time. So he'll be here shortly. We're going to start off. I'm shaking it up a little bit. The gun control myth has been shattered. The left swears up and down that more gun control means more safety. They wrap their messaging in emotional pleas. cherry-picked tragedies and buzzwords like common sense reform. But when the data finally breaks through the narrative, the reality is as stark as it is infuriating. States with the strictest gun control laws are seeing the highest teen firearm death rates. That's right. States with the strictest gun control. Hang on. Is having the highest death rates. It's almost hard to believe it, that what we've been saying for all these years is actually right. But let that sink in. The places that ban so-called assault weapons, mandate storage laws, limit magazine size, and enforce universal background checks are also the states where kids are dying at the fastest rates. This isn't a policy failure. It's proof that the entire gun control movement is built on a lie. I can attest to it from the history with my family, with my father being shot. I saw firsthand what gun control does. It allows criminals to run rapid throughout this world, doing whatever they want, while leftist politicians create a smorgasbord for these criminals. People are unarmed, not able to defend themselves, and are left out in the open. We'll break down this new report, the methodology, the numbers, and what the media is not telling you. We'll hear exactly which blue states are the worst offenders and how they try to blame neighboring red states for their own collapse in public safety. Spoiler, doesn't work. And that's the one I always hear. Well, the next state over is a red state and they allow guns and it bleeds into our community. Then how come we don't have the issues in the red states like we do the blue states? We'll also expose how the media buries these stories. Instead of leading headlines, you get fluff coverage about gun buybacks or symbolic laws that do nothing to stop crime, but everything to punish law-abiding gun owners. Now think about it. Criminals are criminals because they do not follow laws. So what makes you think by adding one more law, 5 more laws, 10 more laws is going to do anything to stop criminals from committing crimes like gun violence? If that was the case, all we would need to do is make murder against the law, and that would cover the whole basis. But as we know from history, that's not going to solve it. Yes, we do need laws, but adding more laws of the same bullshit over and over and over again, there's like over 2,000 federal laws on guns. And if you take out some of the, I think it's like the 5 largest cities in the United States, we would drop to like next low violent crimes in the country. It's these. How you doing, Della? Nice to have you here tonight. I appreciate you. And also the Phantom is in chat with YouTube, and we have Della on Facebook. Della Pauline, I think it is. We'll also expose how the media buries these stories. They'd rather pretend gun deaths are the fault of the NRA than admit their policies have failed. But this isn't just about stats. We're talking about real consequences for real families. While politicians virtue signal on Capitol Hill, parents in California, Illinois, and New York are burying their children, not because of the Second Amendment, but because these states have disarmed their citizens and empowered violent criminals. We'll hear from sheriffs and security experts. We'll Try to dive into how gangs exploit gun-free zones, how Soros-funded DAs refuse to prosecute juveniles, and how many of these teen shootings stems from gang initiations and drug turf wars, not hunting rifles or AR-15. Good evening, Mike. How you doing? And that's the funny thing. If you actually look at the federal stats, assault weapons are mixed in with long rifles. And I think it's like 3 to 5% of gun murders are committed with long rifles. And of that 3 or 5%, only 3% of that is actual AR-15s. And when you're talking, it's what, 40,000 people die from guns. Over 20,000, I've heard anywhere from 20 to 30,000 are suicide. It's not that much of a gun death in this country when it comes to crime. Yes, I do care about people who are mentally ill that feel there's no other answer. We need to work on mental health. It is an issue that needs to be looked at. But taking a weapon away is not going to stop them. If they are that committed to do that, they will find other ways to do it. I'm not approving. I'm not saying it's right. But reality says if they're that committed, they will find other ways to do it. And to take guns away from law-abiding citizens is not the answer. Punishing those that haven't done anything wrong is not the answer. Punishing those that have not committed a crime is not the answer. When you take these self-defense away from people, you create victims. And that's what happened in 1981, I think it was. I keep mixing it up. I always have. 81, 83. My father went to work. He worked for for a company that made these large machines, several tons, that did shot blasting. They would take the paint off of naval ships, the steel, those large oil tankers you see at refineries, concrete highways. It takes a very, very thin layer of the concrete off and gives you a fresh surface. There's no money in the place. Can't really steal the machine unless you got major trucking, and there's not really a black market for those machines. A guy walked in, pulled a gun, and it was just my dad and his boss. And it was in New Jersey, and it is next to impossible to get a concealed carry permit in New Jersey. They're very strict. You basically have to own a store and have a valid reason why you even need a gun then. And a lot of times they'll only issue that gun permit for when you're working in that store. Hell, to even buy a gun, you got to go to the police station, go Mother May I to the police chief to get permission. So this guy that walked in and concealed carry a gun was doing it illegally, knowing that the people in that place were not going to be armed. My dad's boss took 2 bullets point blank to the head. But my father survived. He took 2 bullets also, but he survived. But he had to stand there and watch all that. There was nothing he can do. The guy walked out of the shop, never to be seen again. Disappeared, never found him. How did gun control help my dad? I can tell you how it caused that issue to happen. Thank you, Phantom. 1983. So, no, gun laws only affect those who follow the law. And what's funny, it makes me laugh because I've gone at Mothers Against Guns or something like that. A bunch of those Michael Bloomberg groups. And I've just asked them to explain how their gun control would have prevented my dad from anything happening like that. And their answer was to block me immediately. Wasn't being nasty, wasn't being rude, just ask them to answer that question. And they can't, so they blocked us. If you look for SHR Media on Discord, we do have a Discord server. We really haven't got into that just yet. We're not at that step yet, but you can join the Discord server, which will notify you anytime most of us are going live. But this report proves what many of us already knew. Disarming the public doesn't stop violence. It invites it. And the people paying the price aren't politicians hiding behind armed security. It's the American public. It's our youth. I've had guns in my house since my daughter was, a wee one. And she knew one thing. Not to touch them. If she wanted to touch the gun, if she wanted to learn about the gun, all she had to do was come to me and talk to me, and we would go over in a safe environment. Same as my grandfather did to me. He had guns laying around his whole house. We were told, you touch it without his knowledge or him being there, he's going to whip our back in. But if we wanted to, all we had to do is go to him and ask him. I told my daughter gun safety at a young age. The basic rules. How to use it. How to use it safely. How to handle it safely. Because we got a lot of kids. They don't know how to handle a gun safely. You had to test that out, didn't you, Sean? You had to test it. For those that don't know, we now have super chats on YouTube, and Sean had to test it. I think I'm the first show since we got approved for the super chats through YouTube. So if we're going to have an honest national conversation about safety, it needs to start with the truth. And the truth is this. Gun control doesn't save lives. It costs them. Gun controls create victims. Where do you see these mass shootings happening? There's a reason why they happen where they do, specifically schools. Gun-free zones. And for those that are in YouTube chat and want to do a super chat, you will get your comment posted on the live stream. But it's the gun conversation, the rhetoric that comes from the left, the strawman arguments that come, it just blows my mind. And listen, you don't want a gun, don't own one. It's that simple. It really is. But don't try to take my right away from me. Oh, it creates victims, and they know it, and they want that. And we're just getting started, folks. More truth, more receipts, and a whole lot more common sense coming up after the break. Don't go anywhere. This is the Reverb Common Sense, and we're not done yet.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Ever dream of escaping the daily grind? At Escapist Travel and Tours, we make those dreams your reality. From breathtaking adventures to cultural immersions, we offer escapes tailored just for you. Let us take you to places where every moment feels like a new chapter in your life's adventure. Visit www.escapist.travel or call us today at 1-855-885-81776. Your escape awaits.
Attention, all patriotic women of faith. Yep, I'm talking to you, sis. Are you looking for high-quality, super soft apparel that reflects your love for country and your devotion to God? Look no further than Carry Girl Gear. Picture this. You rocking a tee so soft it's like being hugged by a cloud, all while showing off your love for God and country. Sounds dreamy, right? Well, welcome to reality, babes, because that's what we're all about here at Carry Girl Gear. We specialize in super soft tees, tanks, and more, designed specifically for the strong, patriotic woman who proudly wants to carry their message of faith and freedom. When you shop with us, you're not just getting a t-shirt. You're joining a community of like-minded women who are proud to wear their beliefs straight on their tees. So whether you're sipping sweet tea on the porch or leading the charge for faith and freedom, do it in a Carry Girl tee. Because life's too short for stiff, boring tees. CarryGirl.com, where faith and freedom meets fashion.
Come listen to BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon Radio Show. Live on select and exclusive Tuesday and Thursday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Central, and 8 p.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Rumble channel, SHR Media YouTube channel, X, Twitch, Spreaker, and wherever great conservative podcasts are found. BZ, your conservative Sherpa, guides you through the maelstrom of Democrat, leftist, and globalist lies, chaos, deceit, and betrayal. Raised as a free-range child with dirt, stains, mud, and freedom, BZ broadcasts from North Idaho, comfortably surrounded by actual normal people. Jump into our plush, sumptuous, palatial, and resplendent chat room on rumble.com. Click on live chat to join. Now, with 37% more umbrage and 19% more bulbosity than previous shows, featuring delicious Liberty additives for the best in late-night conservatarian talk radio. BZ reminds you that with great beard comes great responsibility. No chinchillas were harmed, embarrassed, fat-shamed, or the focus of any sarcasm whatsoever in the making of this ad.
What is the Edge of Liberty? News, politics, commentary, sarcasm, alcohol, and high blood pressure. It's as American as the revolution. So tune in every Monday and Friday at 12 Pacific, 3 p.m. on the East Coast on the SHR Media Network and KLRN Radio. For details, visit www.shrmedia.com.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And welcome back to the Breeder of Common Sense. I'm your host, Jersey Joe, here to make sense out of the senseless right here on SHR Media, conservative media done right. Don't forget to hit that like button, smash subscribe, and share this stream like your freedom depends on it, because it just might. Every click helps us punch through big tech censorship, drown out the media noise, and make sure common sense has a fighting chance. And here we have Sackhead Sean. Welcome, buddy.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Just a regular Saturday evening.
Yeah, missed last night's show, so I thought I'd throw a little something together for tonight. And I know last night you were talking about doing it, but it sounds like you got sidetracked. So I figured, hey, throw you an invite. And
if by sidetracked you meant I was absolutely exhausted in my old age, then yes, I was entirely sidetracked. No, I was going to, because obviously as we're going to discuss the Tulsi Gabbard releasing the files from 16, and I was all prepped, I was all ready to go, and then I come home and I had dinner and I made the fatal mistake of sitting down on the couch and as I like to call it, time travel. It was about 10 p.m. and I woke up and I was still on the couch and I was like, well, that was that.
I was sitting there bouncing back between EQ and looking. I'm like, guess he fell asleep. Oh,
But hey, congratulations to the team for getting that tier with super chats on YouTube. That's awesome.
yeah.
That just
And
means
memberships. I mean, we can set up the memberships.
we can set up memberships, and that's something I think we should do down the line. I don't think right now. But I just think that's awesome. And thank you to all the viewers on YouTube who have been viewing all of our content and giving us more exposure and helping us with that algorithm. The more you see us, the more you like us, the more you click us, the more you chat with us, even if you hate us, helps us out. So I appreciate everybody who's been sticking around as we make this great push with SHR.
Exactly. Couldn't have said it better.
And thank you to Della, who's moderating over in the chat.
Oh, she's killing it over in Facebook. So what do you want to talk about? You want to get into the
got to get right into it. I mean, you know, Wednesday night of my show, I was talking about how Bernal pled the fifth when he was asked if somebody else was using presidential powers. And I said, this should be the biggest story in the country right now, because him not saying straight out, no, nobody did that, opens up so many things to be concerned about, right? I mean, that just means that somebody was running this country who wasn't elected. The second biggest story, I think, is
real quick.
This
Who
story
gave
was
Della the
faulty.
poke stick? We were not supposed to give her the poke stick.
I actually sharpened it for her.
Lord, there goes
that's
the
on
image.
me. No, but I think this is the second biggest story, because they not only was an unelected liberal Democrat running the country on behalf of Joe Biden, which is what the Bernal admissions essentially does. But this means that before Trump even got into office, they were trying to perform what we called back then a soft coup.
Yeah.
And
everything
this
they
is
accused him of doing
100%. And one of the things that's absolutely, it was obvious. We all saw what was going on, and we called it out at the time, right? We called it out. There was no, and we were called tinfoil hat wearing lunatics, crazy right-wing screwballs, yada, yada, yada. And to come to find out, it was right. They took the investigation into Russia, and they brought it to Obama and said, hey, Russia didn't really impact this at all. We don't have any evidence to support that. And then he sent them back and said, no, do it again. Now, will there be a White House recording of Barack Obama saying, no, manufacture something and bring it back to me? Absolutely not, because we know that's not. But when the boss says to you, no, go back and do that again, we all know what that means, right? And they did. And what's even more telling is, or what's even more incredible is, then we had the Hunter Biden issue. That's after the Hunter Biden laptop, where we were told it was Russian disinformation, which has all been disproven, right? So that was step one. That didn't work. So they were trying to find a way to call it an illegitimate election. Russian interfered on behalf of Trump. We know Schiff said that he had all this evidence from Russia that Trump was colluding with Russia that has never, ever, ever been produced. The same guy who's supposed to be so smart and such an amazing prosecutor and yada, 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 that he absolutely got tricked by Russian DJs into thinking they had a videotape of Donald Trump getting urinated on by a Russian prostitute.
And how did that, let me cut in real quick, because how did that story actually come about? The whole Russia, actually, how the Russia idea came about. Do you know?
Which part? The entirety of it, the Steele dossier?
On Russia.
From the Steele dossier?
Everything.
Yeah, everything. It all started because they were actively seeking information in Russia about Donald Trump.
Well, it was also, you go back to Hillary, and the Democrats knew she was weak on Russia.
Oh, yeah.
So they
specifically
went with the Russia story so he couldn't attack her on Russia. And the scary part is, you still have, and I thought I had the article for it, a large percentage of Democrats still believe that Russia collusion story.
100%. And look, that's because the Democrats have never let it go. The Democrats keep pushing the same lies. And, every politician exaggerates, right? That's just a political thing. We know that. Look, Trump exaggerates the shit out of stuff all the time. I voted for the man. I still like the man. I still think he's a good president, but he's just bombastic and he has a tendency to do that. However, there's a difference between saying, this pen is purple, but it also is kind of blue, and saying this pen is pink or any other color under the planet, right? That's a straight out lie. There's a difference of exaggeration and lie. And what Adam Schiff did, and DNI, can't think of the DNI at the time, can't think of his name. But he was on one of the oversight committees swearing to the report that Russia interfered with the election. Now, the last time, if I recall, usually when you were in front of a committee, you're sworn in.
Yeah.
So that would be perjury.
Clapper was
Clapper,
it?
thank you, James Clapper. It's hard to get all these, Mike in the chat sent it. It's hard to get all these assholes straight sometimes. Brennan, Clapper, Schiff, they're all cut from the same cloth. And when we talk about the deep state, these are the people we're talking about. These are the people who have control or attempt to have control of the electorate, of the government, without being elected to do so. And that's something that this also shows. Hey, we lost the election. Okay, well, what can we do to undermine it and maybe have the people? Because I'll tell you right now, releasing all that information, trying to say, I remember Comey was there, Clapper, Comey, yeah, they're all from the same cloth. But trying to suggest that this Russian collusion that never happened, that they claim did, what they were trying to do is cause what seems to me the only out. Why would you do that? You can't legally remove Trump unless you can prove the election was so fraudulent that it was absolutely just millions of votes, yada, yada, yada. That's all they could do. They couldn't do that. So what was the goal of this? It wasn't just to make Trump look bad. That was, that they've been doing that all along. That's nothing, right? Their goal, in my opinion, was to cause civil unrest in the country.
Yep.
Civil unrest to the point that it was absolutely uncontrollable. And then what happens then? Well, and look, at this point, I don't think anything was off the table with the Obama administration. Martial law. If things were so bad, martial law. Now you can't change the president now because we're in martial law, yada, 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 all this bullshit. I'm 100% convinced now. When that report came out from Tulsi and I read through it and I read to the lengths that they lied to the American people, which, by the way, you wonder why nobody trusts the intelligence community.
Yeah.
This is why. And this is on the heels of NSA. This is on the heels of Fast and the Furious. This is on the heels of Obama drone striking American citizens. This is on the heels of all of that. It shows us that Obama was not a good person.
No.
It shows us that everybody who is linked to Obama was not a good person. They did not have America's interest in mind. They had their interest in mind. They were putting party over country, which is different than getting people to come to your party when you're intentionally trying to make your party more powerful by completely just destroying the other side and wherever that would lead to. You're putting party over country. It's maintaining control. It was and always has been about control. The Democrats want to take it away, and the conservatives want you to have your own control. And yes, there are some shitty Republicans out there. Don't get me wrong. But there is so much evidence from 2015 on that when Democrats are in charge, they will absolutely sidestep law, constitution, and anything else to gain and retain power. And it's insane to me that, and the amount of people who are okay with it, the amount of voters who are okay with it, where it's just like, well, I don't care as long as we win, scares the shit out of me. That scares me more than a lot of other things. Yeah, Gina Haspel, Valerie Jarrett, there's another one. I mean, the list goes on and on. Joe Biden.
But what the Democrats did to themselves over the last, 2 decades?
I mean,
They've almost destroyed the party. I mean, Democrat congressional members are at what, 72% disapproval?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep,
it's
18% approval. Yeah, and I'll tell you right now, I think herpes polls slightly higher.
Yeah.
Than Democrats do right now. And this is because, look, you have elements of their party who are saying, a lot of them, I would say probably 30% of their party who's saying, you guys aren't doing enough progressive stuff. And you guys aren't changing this country enough. And you guys aren't doing enough with Donald Trump. And then you have the other 70% who are just like, yeah, I mean, I'm not a Trump fan, but this stuff's a little bit ridiculous.
What do they have? What do they have now? It's just
they've split their party. They've destroyed their party.
All they have is I hate Donald Trump. That's it.
That's all they. Yeah, I mean that's literally all they have.
You have Booker out there today bitching because they're going to turn Fort Dix base in New Jersey into a detention center for illegal immigration, and he's going, it's inhumane. But
which is even funnier because under Biden, didn't we put them on military bases?
Actually, at Fort Dix, we had Afghan refugees put on Fort Dix base. But it's okay. It wasn't inhumane for our military personnel to live there.
Yeah, and did you see, along these same lines, talking about immigration, did you see that somebody had a camera inside Alligator Alcatraz?
I haven't seen some photos in and out of there, but
and they've sent a bunch of photos out of their food. It looks better than what I had for dinner last night.
Probably.
Wait a minute.
There
are prisoners. There's a guy named JD. I think it's JD DeLay who's on TikTok, and he used to be
I love that guy.
Pretty hardcore prisoner, hardcore gangster, has turned his life around completely, and he's now very conservative and very law-abiding and very pro-law enforcement. And he said something effective. They have a much better setup than we've ever had in any prison. It's more comfortable. The beds are better. The food's better. Like they have air conditioning in Florida. That one of the complaints is that it was so cold in there. Dude, okay, let's turn it off.
They got to brush their teeth right next to the toilet.
Yeah.
I was like, when Debbie wasn't in
prison does that.
I was like, what kind of mansion does she live in that she doesn't have her sink in her bathroom with a toilet?
I'll take it a step further. Have you ever seen some of these apartments in New York City where you're literally cooking your food over the toilet? Like, I mean, come on.
You're living in a closet and paying like $4,000 a month for it.
Yeah. But this is just, I mean, and to go even further, and somebody brought this up, herpes is more effective than Democrats, somebody said. Somebody brought this up in the chat is, they even lied about Obama's kids in the cages back in the day. As you go forth
with Trump.
Yeah, of course they are. But if you look at the drop by DNI Gabbard, there needs to be prosecutions. And I already looked it up. There's plenty of prosecutorial alleys that they could go with for this. But see, the Trump administration and Bondi especially, she's in a precarious situation. Because do you open that door by prosecuting former administrations?
They set the standard.
And prosecuting for things that pardons do not cover, which, yes, pardons do not cover some things, the presidential pardon. And you open that door up, but the trade-off to that is you can't let this just happen. You can't let it happen. And you remember, too, and Trump knew all of this because remember when he started pulling people's intelligence credentials?
Mm-hmm.
And everyone was freaking out. This is why.
Yeah.
Because the intelligence community, when we found out, what was it, 2-3 months ago, that Tulsi Gabbard fired a couple hundred people from the intelligence, DNI, from the intelligence community, and everyone was freaking out. Oh, they want to make the country unsafe. They want to do this. They want to do that. Blah, 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 blah. Well, no. they had already had a hint as to who was working against America's best interest.
Yep.
When you take jobs like that, when you take jobs that you were in service to the country, you follow the leadership that is in power at the time, even if you don't like them. Now, you go back to Strzok and Page, the FBI, the tweets. We're not going to let them win, yada, yada, yada. You go back to all of those things that Democrats hope time has forgot. And you can't let them forget. But you have to look and really show how all of this now fits together and makes so much more sense. All of these little individual occurrences that sucked and looked horrible, but you're like, well, why would they even do that? Like the Strzok Page thing, having worked in law enforcement, understanding what technology is today. So why would you ever put any of that in text? That's the stupidest thing, because they were convinced that Trump was never going to come into power and those texts were never going to be seen.
Yeah.
And then you go through and you look at who was around this last administration, who was around Biden administration. Well, Bernal, who is Jill's right-hand man and is the one who refused to answer if anybody else was using the presidential powers under oath and pled the fifth, he was an Obamaite.
Well, here's also the other thing that's going to hurt them are the ones that do have pardons. They can't claim the fifth.
Mm-hmm.
They have to answer the question because they cannot incriminate themselves. And if
Right.
they don't answer, then that's new charges against them.
And that's a different set of charges that they can be prosecuted
Yep.
for. Yeah. And I hate to say it, but if I was a Democrat right now, I would be saying, you know what? Maybe we could go along with the fact that those auto pen pardons weren't legal, because now you get them thrown away and you
They're
lose
looking
that
at that
power.
right now.
You lose that power as a conservative, right? You now, if those pardons get thrown out, and we're going to go down a whole bunch of boring legal shit here, but if those pardons get out, they can no longer they can be subpoenaed, they can be charged, they can be prosecuted, you can get them under oath, they can say a lot of things, right, that they didn't have to do with the pardons. So it changes a lot of things. It changes the metrics, and it actually gives them almost more protection now, in my opinion, based on the information we are now receiving. It boggles my mind that as I go through social media today, and I have absolutely engaged in it, but the amount of people who are more concerned over Stephen Colbert being fired and having his show ended next year than they are about the fact that our intelligence community created a lie under the Obama administration and ran with it. After they created a lie about the Hunter Biden laptop and ran with it, after they created the lie that they had video of Donald Trump being peed on in Russia and ran with it. The story goes on and on and on and on. And you wonder why they're polling at 18%.
Yep. But also, if you look at Colbert, to jump on that real quick, that has more to deal with the merger that's going through. And when you have mergers going through, you dump a lot of money.
Loses $40 million a year. That show loses $40 million a year. Loses.
And you're looking at doing a merger with another company. You want to get that off your books as fast as you can. And giving him until what, May of
2026.
You know,
so
that's
less
almost
than a year.
Yeah.
And look, he's making $15 million a year with them. He's not suffering. He'll be fine. But everyone is, this is because of the lawsuit, and this is because Trump won, and they're trying to. This is what happens when you censor media. First of all, he's a comedian. Second of all, if that was the case, they would have censored 60 Minutes, who was the one that the actual lawsuit was over. Mm-hmm. It's not over the Colbert Report, and not enough people watch the fucking Colbert Report where it would even affect anything.
Have you noticed also
2.5 million a night? All of the late night shows, this is 100% fact. I looked it up today. Since 2018, their revenue has been cut from ads 50%, 50 collectively between all the big three late night shows. They get about 2.5 million viewers a night and that's each show: Kimmel, Fallon, and Colbert. Greg Gutfeld averages 3.5, so he's getting 1 million more than them on Fox.
Yeah.
And the entire late night on the big three, the late night shows have declined over the last 10 years more rapidly for certain hosts than others. But when you had Letterman, the numbers were higher. When you had Conan, the numbers were higher. When
And
you
that's
had
the thing. They're not
Carlin,
firing Colbert. They're canceling the show.
right, the whole show's going away.
Yeah. So if it was okay, Colbert and censorship, they would keep the show and get another host.
Yep. And that's not what's happening. So that's just a distraction. But more people are talking about it.
John
Then they're
Stewart even
talking
said that
about
he's probably going to be losing his job.
yeah, because they're
Comedy
Paramount
Central's part
owns
of. Yep.
Paramount. Yeah. And I'll tell you right now, too, you go back to look, Colbert, part of the reason why they're losing 40 million is because of the revenues go, right? The revenues drop. Everyone kept saying, well, you had the most viewers against the other two, not against Gutfeld, against the other two, but they've all dropped. They're not funny anymore. People are sick and tired of the same. I mean, it's the same shit on all three channels. Fallon stays further away from everybody else, but I think he's just so goofy that people don't get him. And that's fine. He had his barbs here and there, but I think he got away from the political stuff quicker. Kimmel, obviously, Stephen Colbert, obviously, they're both just shills for the left entirely.
That doesn't make sense. Not you, but that comment.
Yeah. Yeah. That's not
You're
exactly how it
stretching it
works
with
when
that.
stuff is protected because of grand jury indictments and yada, yada, yada.
Have you also
but-
noticed that Democrats, when they have these things, they always have comedians do it?
I know.
So they can do it when they give misinformation. Well, he's not a news person. He's a comedian.
Well, and my other statement to the A-Golf Twiddler, which your name, by the way, is hysterical. That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are certain things that if they're sealed because of grand jury indictments, and look, I don't think I've said this before. I don't worry that Trump's in the Epstein files. I really don't, because the Democrats, you look at everything the Democrats did to try to keep him out of office, that shit would have come forward almost immediately.
Yeah.
Right.
They would have burned the world down.
Epstein would still be alive today. If I'm honest, Epstein would probably still be alive today. I am of the belief that he was an asset of the federal government more and more. But
if the left are so worried about it, why didn't they try to get Biden to release it?
Oh, I know. No, trust
It's
me.
bullshit red herring.
Everything they're saying now is BS. It's BS because they know all those NDAs were signed in place. So those NDAs that under the Biden administration that paid out a lot of money that they can't tell you anything about it because it's a non-disclosure agreement. And also Trump suing Murdoch, to go back to A-Golf's, does not mean that the entire Epstein file gets open, because the Epstein file is not part of it. Now, the alleged letter that the Wall Street Journal reporter had, that becomes part of discovery. But you don't just get to go into everything the government has because it's the president. They could get him to testify under oath. Good luck with that. But I don't think any of that's going to happen. I think they're going to settle because they have no proof that's real. And look, even
discovery goes both ways too, and
Yeah.
it's going to expose Murdoch and
It'll
all
expose
them
a
to
lot
a
of
lot of
things.
information. That's why most of these news agencies have settled out of court, because they don't want to go through the discovery.
Well, and as we saw, even MSNBC had people on saying, this doesn't even, you can see people distancing themselves quickly. I think it was CNN or MSNBC had one of their regular hosts or fans on who said, yeah, this doesn't even sound like Trump. The wording of it doesn't sound like words that he says. The phrasing of it doesn't sound like
CNN.
phrases he said. So yeah, I'm not,
Yeah.
like I said, if Donald Trump was in the Epstein logs, that shit would have been unsealed.
How many times have we heard since 2015? Oh, we finally got Donald Trump. We got him on this. He's gonna, and every time it's a lie, a lie,
Yeah.
a lie, a lie, made up story, made up story.
I'll tell you right now, if I was, and this is just, and by the way, this is all Paul Ryan's doing. Paul Ryan, who is on the board at Fox News,
Yep.
Paul Ryan, who hates Trump, Paul Ryan, who hates MAGA. Paul Ryan is an old school war hawk, Lindsey Graham style politician where government controls everything. They'll say it's all about freedom, but they just want their version of control over the people. It's all garbage. Look, the only reason they treat him so well on Fox News, Trump, which they don't treat him great, they still slam him on some things,
Yeah.
but they treat him better than others, is because people are tuning into them to see it, and they know that.
Yeah, but have you noticed CNN lately?
They're starting to rock back a little bit. You have to.
Well, I
look,
think they also realize they got to start watching what they're saying, because they've had to shell out some undisclosed amount of money for their
Yep.
false stories, not against Trump either, against other
Sandman.
people. There's
you
been
go
a
back
couple.
to the
They got
Sandman.
the kid.
Yeah, the kid especially.
Yeah,
Because they paid out through the nose on that.
the doctor.
Yep. And you had a couple of them. So the
Yeah.
media has to, it forces, and I see a lot of people's like, oh, none of these media organizations can say anything because Trump's suing them. Well, if you're saying stuff that you can get sued for, you shouldn't be saying it.
Freedom
If
of
it's
press doesn't give you the right to say whatever you want.
You can't just make up lies, and
Yeah.
you can't make up accusations. And look, I mean, what's her name there? AOC. She put out that statement last week where she called him a rapist.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, he's already won a trial for that.
Yeah. I think she's looking for it. She wants that.
Well, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, how the left now is trying to do everything that they did to Donald Trump. They're trying to goat him into doing to them. Be arrested, get booked, get sued, because they want the free publicity. No, because he doesn't give a shit.
But it's
Like,
also their
he'll say
manufacturing,
stuff.
and people aren't stupid. They can see the manufacturer where they see the attack on Donald Trump from the left.
Yep.
So there's reality and manufacture, and the left's famous for this manufacturing. Gavin Newsom is trying to imitate Trump with almost everything Trump's done. Arrest me, arrest me.
I'll tell you, I have never seen somebody who mimics.
Damn it, Mike. I was actually going to say that just a minute or two ago.
That's actually really good, Mike. I have never seen anybody who shows the attributes and the physical manifestation of narcotic use like I have in Gavin Newsom recently. And I'm not saying he is. I'm just saying he looks like somebody who does. I don't know if he's done it or not, but his interviews are getting weirder and weirder and weirder. And the little twerp who runs his social media just keeps putting out the stupidest shit, and everyone keeps hammering him for it.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I saw, somebody commented much smarter than I, and I can't remember. It was, I think it was Amy.
An amoeba?
But, huh?
An amoeba?
Yeah, seriously. New York Post I think it was the Post or the Times. No, it's the Post, who said, essentially, JD Vance is a shoo-in for 2028. And at this point, it would look that way, but it's politics, and the 2 weeks from now, all of that could change. But yeah, I think this DNI thing, it's huge. And it hasn't gotten the traction on CNN and MSNBC because they don't want to admit, what's going on, because it's them and they're scumbags. But I imagine that this story is going to launch a lot more. It has to. I mean, I can't imagine Bondi putting this on the back burner at all and expecting to maintain her position. With the Epstein things, releasing the grand jury transcripts, I think is a good step. And maybe it'll show us what we're all looking for, right? Maybe it'll show us, because you're going to get a lot of evidence there. You're going to get a ton of evidence there, because it's not a quick thing, right? So maybe it'll show us the answers we're actually seeking. Maybe it'll be some names. Maybe there won't be. Obviously, the victims are all redacted because that's exactly what they have to do.
When it comes to this whole Epstein list and everything, who was one of the lawyers that was working on that in the DOJ?
Oh, yeah, no. And she just got fired, Comey's daughter.
Yeah.
And apparently she had access to those files by herself for an extended period of time. And there are allegations now that there are parts of those files that were once there that are no longer there. Again, all speculative. And I'll admit that. But at this point, is anything going to shock you?
It makes you go,
Yeah. Like and what bothers me is we've become such an age of flyby media, and there's so much pumped into people over and over and over again. The video that was released by the DOJ, there's still a missing minute and nobody's talking about it anymore. The one of Epstein walking into his cell before he killed himself, allegedly. And that's what I think, as conservatives, we need to stay out of that trap of jumping on the next big story that is not a story all the time. Social media, I watch it happen all the time. Like I said, all of a sudden we're all talking about Colbert, right? If anything, the liberals should be stoked that CBS released the Colbert story when they did, because it gave the DNI Gabbard story cover.
Yeah.
More people were talking about that. This is the two biggest scandals I think that have ever happened politically in this. You can throw out Watergate. That's gone. That's not even on the top 10.
This makes Watergate look like a kitty club.
You have
what I found, and I'm sorry to interrupt you. Colbert in his little monologue going on that, Donald Trump sued CBS for supposedly altering the interview. There was no alteration. We did not edit it. Everybody's seen the fucking tape, you idiot. It was edited beyond editing. And it's just, and so many people go, oh, okay, it wasn't edited. We all saw it. It was released. You edited it.
We knew it was edited the day it released.
Right. But I mean, the proof came out. There's video. This is how the interview went. This is how it was edited. And they took an answer from a different question and
put it onto her. Yeah.
That's not editing.
They admitted they did that.
Yes. And Colbert, no, they didn't do not. And oh my God. But also, Della made a good point here that so many of these liberals, and I don't know if you saw it, are going by the judge's opinion that he gave. His opinion don't mean shit in those cases, because it was a jury that decided, and a jury said no rape. Okay. And I've gotten in plenty of arguments with the leftists on this. The judge's opinion don't mean shit.
Yeah.
That's not his job in that type of case. His job
and also a civil conviction or a civil loss is so much easier. Look, you think about how many tort cases are filed every day, ambulance chasers, fake neck injuries, yada, yada, yada. Right. And they get paid out. Why do they get paid out? For a million different reasons. But you just have to have a preponderance of evidence. You don't have to have beyond a reasonable doubt like you do for a criminal conviction. The evidence rules are entirely different. What's admitted is entirely different. They knew exactly what she was doing when she went the civil route, because you weren't going to get him on a criminal. And if she went on a criminal first and you didn't get him on a criminal, then the civil would have just been nothing. But they knew there was no way that criminally you were going to convict him, because there was zero evidence whatsoever.
Yeah.
Never mind all of the holes in her story that just made no sense, and they sounded like a movie or
and
a
actually
book.
Mimicked a
CSI.
Yeah.
Not CSI.
SVU.
The other one. Yeah.
Law and Order SVU.
Dun, dun. Yeah, and it did that, and then she showed up. I mean, she was wearing the dress that she alleged that had happened 40 years ago, but
the dress wasn't even made.
Right, it was not even made. Yep. All of these things. So
the judge was biased in that, and anybody that can look at it honestly can see that judge was biased and wanted it to happen a certain way.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it was. And it's just, all of that. If you are an honest person, even if you don't like Donald Trump, but you can be objective and you can look back at everything since he came down the escalators in Trump Tower to run, you realize how ridiculous, biased, and targeted everything was.
Yep.
And it really was. I mean, it was one of those things that no other political person has ever had the amount of scrutiny, false allegations, false charges, all of this stuff thrown at them, including, everyone forgets, Obama bugged Trump Tower.
Yep.
He bugged Trump Tower. They tried to honeypot, what's his name? I can't think of his name right now. Papadopoulos. I can't think of it. But
I was
like,
thinking of the general Flynn.
oh no, Flynn.
I did.
They tried to honeypot him. That's what led to the Steele dossier. The Steele dossier was made up. It was purchased. It was the same as going into the store and buying a book off the shelf. Somebody wrote it, somebody made it up, and they purchased it.
Do you know
And
what is really sad? They
Um,
created Donald Trump. Because if you look at the polls when it first started, he was like in last place.
yeah.
He
Oh
got
no, they
attacked.
did.
He
I
fired
mean,
back.
a lot of it.
And every time they attacked him and he fired back, his ratings kept going up and up and up. And the more they attacked him, the
They
more
gave him-
popular they made him.
They absolutely gave him the exposure and the media exposure that for free.
Yeah.
Because they thought he was a joke.
Mm-hmm.
They thought this ideas that he would have of putting America first would never catch on. They thought his ideas of draining the swamp would never catch on. I'll tell you right now, I'm almost convinced that media was so sure that they were never going to let Trump get elected, meaning the government, that they let him be fodder until he was a powerhouse. And like you said, they created him.
Yeah.
You know, you took a guy who already had fame, he already had all this other stuff, and you start attacking him. And yeah, Delaire on Facebook said this, and this is perfect. America loves a fighter. He started pushing back. He started pushing back. And look, you have to remember, you go back to Romney, you go back to McCain, right? And as much as I have my issues with both of them, look at how many times during the debates Obama outright lied with Romney, right? And said that, and then drop his little comments like, "Oh, you're entitled to your opinion, you're not entitled to your fact." 1980s called, and they want that foreign policy back. When Romney was mostly right about what Russia and Putin was doing, he wasn't far off. And look, I'm no Mitt Romney fan,
Yeah.
but at the time, and then pulling out the story about the dogs and yada yada yada, they did everything they could, and that's what started it. And it worked with them. They lied and smeared and exaggerated to get rid of them. And that's everyone's like, oh, we need, I hear this all the time. We need to have decorum brought back to politics, and we want statesmen, blah, 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 blah. Well, look, you guys ruined that, because as much as people didn't like George W. Bush, at least he was more old school politician statesman like, right? And even in his debates, they were pleasant, they were nice, blah, 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 blah. When he had issues in Congress with the other side, they got along. The same thing with Clinton, da, 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 da. The same thing with Bush before that. It wasn't until Obama came to the floor and Democrats started getting dirty, they opened this door.
And people
And it
need
was
to remember
perfect.
Obama sued that a president and a politician has the right to lie.
And you had an Obama who on the surface was the nice guy, said he was a wonderful politician from the sense of he knew what to say, how to say it, when to say it. And then you had all the dirt behind the scenes where they were just starting to sling mud like you've never seen. That's what started this all. And then with Trayvon Martin, I've said this 100 times, Trayvon Martin was the turning point in how this country viewed each other. And Obama absolutely flamed that fan when he said Trayvon Martin could have been my son before we even knew what the evidence does. Remember, NBC, Zimmerman sued them and won because they changed the 911 tapes. So that got the country, and that was the start of it. Then you got to Gates, the beer summit. Again, Gates was in the wrong, and this Cambridge cop was in the right. You have a guy on a porch trying to shoulder into a door. The police officer that sees that has to do something. And he did. He put him in cuffs and detained him till they identified him, right? But they blew it out of proportion. They made
Hands
it
up,
about
don't shoot.
race. And it just kept going and going. And that's when this country started to divide. And politicians, especially on the left, use that divide to obtain and retain power. And here we are today. Lie, exaggerate, steal, create evidence, kill evidence, hide evidence, the Hunter Biden thing, create evidence. Oh, the Steele dossier. just outright lie. I mean, you can outright lie. Look, I mean, you look at what the Democrats do. I remind you that the little weasel who is from California, and he's a congressman, and I hate him so much. And Eric Swalwell
Oh, I was thinking Adam
banged
Schiff.
a Chinese spy, and the Biden FBI found nothing was wrong, nothing was done. Right?
No,
We don't
and he
know
stayed
what
on the
information.
intelligence committee.
Right? We don't know what information she got out of him and how much that hurt our country because it was smushed.
And now
And at
she's
some
dead.
point, I want that file to be opened because then she bounced out of the country. Nobody's ever heard from her again.
She's dead.
Well, allegedly,
Well,
we don't
yeah.
know.
Well, that's what I think it was Swalwell, and there was some article I read that said that a couple years after she was found dead.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, she went back to China. They had her use, but she got exposed, and that probably was some sort of a violation to the Chinese code, and they killed her.
Yeah.
You know, and nobody ever talks about that. These are the people.
Adam
Schiff
Schiff.
is another one.
Adam Schiff, how many billions of dollars did he waste testifying that he had proof of the Russian
Government
collusion?
money.
That
I
he
think-
had whistleblowers that he had no contact or knowledge of who they are, which was a lie. How many lies did he tell?
I want class action lawsuits against people like Schiff.
Yeah, I've thought about it. I
From
don't
the
know why
American people for wasting our money on an obvious lie that he knew was a lie. He perpetrated as a
He was
lie.
part of the creation.
He was part of the creation on a false predicate that was the Steele dossier. And I mean, if you just look at all of this and you look at everything the Democrats have done over the years, and what they support now. Look, all of a sudden they're all for government grocery stores, right? They're all for taking away private property. Yet they're jumping on Mandami like he's a I probably shouldn't say that. They're jumping on him.
And what's funny though is his poll ratings have dropped.
Yeah, because he's been
Fast.
exposed.
Yeah.
He's been exposed, and the media is not carrying. The media, the mainstream media, is carrying the water.
What was the biggest Google search after he won?
Yeah, what is socialism?
Socialism.
Yeah.
They didn't know what the hell they were voting for. And now they're going, oh shit.
Well, and a lot of the stuff that he's saying and a lot of the videos that are coming out, people are like, I don't know about that. And remember that primary was not at all even close to, I think it was only 5% of the electorate voted for that. And that was the part that he had fired up.
Yeah.
And I think
everybody thought Comey had it in the bag and stayed home.
Cuomo.
Or Cuomo.
Well, exactly. I think that he absolutely busted his what on that night. That was it. I don't think he'll ever get that good again. And the whole eating food with your hands and yet, I mean,
going after Tom Holman, I'm going to kick your ass. Remember, that was him that went after Holman that one day.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, it's all BS. And I think that's what the whole Gabbard intelligence release just sums up with evidence, irrefutable evidence that everything that they've done has been lies and exaggerations. And if you're an objective human being, even if you don't like Trump, if you look at all of that and believe another word that comes out of this current pack of Democrats, you're a fool. You're an absolute fool.
You guys are the true cult followers. I mean,
this could kill the party.
You've done it. I've done it. I've called Trump out. I've called Republicans out. I'm not happy with Cruz and was it Corzine with that little piece that they slipped into the one big beautiful bill where they're trying to take the shuttle out of the Smithsonian so that they can have it in Texas. That is bullshit.
I'm pissed about all these Republicans who all of a sudden want to grant amnesty to certain people.
Yeah.
What's her name? Leslie. She's on Fox there. She's a Democrat. I can't think of her last name, but I had to go around with her on X because she was just talking about if somebody was brought here as a kid illegally, how do you return them to a country they didn't even know? And I said, well, what you're doing is you're opening the door. Well, this is okay. Well, this is okay. And once you write a law with stuff like that in it, it now every case that gets heard, if that judge says, "Oh no, I think this branches out into that group now becomes acceptable," and that's what I said to her. Essentially, is you just want something so they can build off of it. The answer is no.
Yeah.
There are ways. They tell you you can go do this research yourself because I posted it in that Leslie Marshall, that's her name. I posted it in that thread with her. There are ways for illegal immigrants to become citizens. They just have to put the work in. And I'm sorry, if you're in this country for 25 years and you're sending all your money back home and you're an illegal and now you get caught, I don't feel bad for you because you absolutely had a chance to fix this and you don't. So, but I'm pissed about that. I'm pissed that we have Republicans who all of a sudden want amnesty. Well, if you've been here for 30 years and da 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 and da da, and well, first and foremost, if you've been here for 30 years and you're illegal, how are you getting paid? How are you getting a job? How are you getting taxes?
Oh, the
That
government
tells
gives them a number.
no,
I know.
no, you were fraudulently using somebody else's information, or so you've already committed a crime. Never mind the crime you committed by coming in here illegally. We'll sidestep that just for this conversation. I still think that it's very applicable, but just for this conversation, most likely you were conducting fraudulent activity.
Mhm.
You know, they finally admitted this week that they're on Medicaid.
Yeah. And they
After
were
years,
lying for how
there's no
long?
illegals on Medicaid. There'll never be illegals on Medicaid. Blah, blah, blah. You've cut 1.8 million people off that. Who are they? And they're illegal. They can't even get regular health care. Really?
I know. It's
So now you're just going to admit it. And this is what Democrats do. When they get caught and something's proven, they'll admit it and then say, yeah, but. Yeah, but
well, how many people have gone to jail that didn't commit a crime but were associated with somebody and may have had knowledge? Well, that's not that far-fetched from someone being brought into the country illegally as a kid. You're still breaking the law.
I'll tell you right now, and I tell this story. Kid I used to work with a couple years ago. He was brought here as a juvenile illegally from Guatemala. Once he was old enough to realize, hey, what's going on here? Like something's not, like he knew something wasn't right. He started the process himself. He claimed asylum, like him and his mom did. Like they eventually, and he got his citizenship by serving in the Marine Corps. He was over in Iraq, and you have never met a more proud American. He even said, like, half these people coming over the border when all this started. He's like, we don't want them. He's like, I'm from Guatemala. I have family in Guatemala. He's told me stories of things that he saw when he was in Guatemala that were just, he's like, we don't want half these people. Trust me. That's why my family fled Guatemala.
Yep.
That's why they fled the whole Central America. Not all of them are bad, but a lot of them are bad. And that they should have to come over the right way. And the other thing that you get into is if you turn around and say, okay, if you're here for 15 years and you never get arrested, you'll get your citizenship. Doesn't matter how you came in the country. You're now incentivizing yet again illegal immigration. Yep. And you're incentivizing them to stay on the down low.
Yep.
So
that's the thing. I don't care. Yeah, you got a job? Oh, well. You got a family? You know what? We separate, and I get tired. Well, we're separating families. We do it all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's funny is ever since Alligator Alcatraz, the self-deportation has skyrocketed.
Over 1 million have been self-deporting.
Yeah.
And that number gets left out of what ICE has done, what the arrests that they've made, because they're like, oh, you know, Obama's on track. It's so funny how they'll use the Obama deported more than Trump thing when it's applicable, and then they'll reverse it when it's not. Yeah. But if you count the million that self-deported because of everything that's going on, trumps Obama in that regard. There's just way more.
Yeah, but what happens when you self-deport too? You get a hotel room.
Yeah,
and
you get a plane ticket.
Yeah, yep. Everything's treated respectfully and sent back home.
And you also have the opportunity to apply for asylum and come back the right way. Which look, I say it all the time. We talk about our borders. If you have no borders, you have no country. If you flood this country with a whole bunch of illegals like the Democrats did, and they just did it for voting purposes to redistrict lines, what happens is you lose everything because you don't know who, like I said, even if 1% of that 30 million is bad people, is that worth the crime and the chaos and the people who are victimized from it? No. It's foolish to think that allowing illegals into this country and allowing them to stay is the right thing to do because they got here. That is the equivalent of me breaking into somebody's house and now I can live there because I got there.
Yeah. But I
It's
also
no different.
Well, they commit less crimes. No, they don't. It gets reported less.
Well, and not only that is they also, some of them don't get arrested for it.
Yeah.
And their fingerprints aren't on file because they're illegal. And a lot of the countries that they came from have horrible criminal record procedures, so they're not even on the international files. So they have no idea who are committing these crimes.
And Della just made a great point. Not to mention the terrorists that have slipped through.
Oh, God. Well, if you look at the special interest aliens, just the ones that they caught, which are people who are related to terrorism, people that have close relations to terrorism, they're on a list essentially. The ones who got caught was astronomical. And you have to think about how many more slipped through that we didn't get caught. Look, I still don't have all the information, but we have, I mean, the car attack in LA last night, overnight, 3:00 in the morning, right? That was a vehicle attack.
And I'm sorry, I'm laughing. I'm laughing at the fact that the crowd yanked him out of the car, beat the shit out of him, and shot his ass.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm not laughing about and I know you weren't saying, but somebody was gonna be like, "Oh, look at that, he was laughing." No, I'm laughing at the fact that this dumbass got yanked out of the car. And
don't go in the hood trying to do hood shit if you're not ready for a hood fight. That's what it comes down to. And this dude,
I heard they can't find the guy that shot him.
They can't
find
find
who he is.
And nobody's talking. And look,
what? Oh.
I am not for vigilantism.
No,
I do not support it. I do not condone it. But you know what? The streets are going to sometimes take matters into their own hands. And they did in that situation. And who can blame them? I mean, that's obviously, I'm not saying you should shoot people. But in that situation, let's say the shooter's friend was under that car, let's say, and they had a legitimate fight or flight moment where they just reacted, right?
Yeah.
Heat of crime of passion, right? He was just so mad because he just watched his friend get run over that he just couldn't stop himself. But yeah, no, I think it's amazing. I think it is absolute karma at its finest that they beat him to a pulp and dragged him out of the car and someone shot him. in a state that has some of the tightest gun controls. How much you want to bet that gun was illegal?
I bet. Well, I was talking about it before.
You're right. People are getting tired of bullshit.
Before you came on, it's the highest teenage gun crime or teenagers being shot is in blue states with high gun control. Yeah, it's just going to show.
Yeah. And look, I mean, the amount of young black teenagers that are killed by other young black teenagers is unbelievable, and it's horrific and it's horrible. And it needs to be dealt with, but it needs to be dealt with on a local and at home level. Gun control, as you said earlier, I was watching and listening. Gun control does not stop crime. Gun control keeps good people from getting firearms. They try to use all of these like, oh, but you know, then every time you go somewhere, you bring a gun with you, and how many people get shot with their own gun and yada, yada, yada. How many crimes, mass casualty incidents could have been prevented when they're in gun-free zones like schools, hospitals, and other places where you had somebody who was like, I wish I had my gun on me, you know, but I couldn't because I actually follow the law, and I know the law is I can't bring it into this hospital, so I didn't. Or I didn't bring it into this school, so I didn't. The driver had a weapon in his vehicle. And Della, I haven't seen the latest update, so you are probably 100% correct. I haven't heard that. I also haven't heard the suspect's name yet. I know somebody floated it out there, but I haven't heard it confirmed. And I obviously that's going to be key too, because if it was somebody who is in this country illegally or somebody who had a political ideology that's attached to his attack on other people, that is an act of terrorism, and that needs to be discussed. I told on the air, and I've said this off the air, since the bombing in Iran, the risk of homegrown terrorism has gone through the roof because, as Della pointed out earlier, how many terrorists slipped through, how many operatives have slipped through.
Right after
Look,
the
you
bombing
tell
happened,
me.
we had a bunch of Iranians that were detained coming across that border that were not of the looking for a better life.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is you have to think of how all of these horrible countries and groups think. The border's wide open. Now's our time to get people in, and then their sleeper cells. You have them get set up. You have them get organized. You have I dealt with counterterrorism stuff for years. They do that anyhow with false identities coming over the border. They do that coming in by ocean. A lot of people don't realize that they will pay passage on a ship, and if it's a friendly country ship, they'll get kicked off at a safe place. There's a lot of ways that people can get into this country before the border was wide open. And now what that does to our intelligence community is it overwhelms them.
Yep.
Because you now have so many people that have flooded in that you have to be concerned with that you can't watch them all. And it is unfortunately a ticking time bomb. Della, if you have a link to where you saw that the driver had a weapon too, could you please put that in the Facebook chat? I'd love to be able to look at that. Thank you.
We're going to change it up a little bit. I'm going to combine two of the topics into one.
That's good because we're already almost 2 hours in.
No, we're only what?
Hour and 22 minutes.
Yeah. All right. Subpoena has been issued for New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy, and a criminal referral has been filed against Senator Adam Schiff.
Yes. Adam Schiff. Look, it has to do with housing. It has to do with mortgages. It has to do with a whole bunch of stuff like that. I don't know.
It's some of the things they went after him about Trump after.
Yeah. And will it be one of those things that they'll probably get him civilly, but they won't get him criminally? Most likely.
I don't know, because he was claiming that both were his primary resident, which also puts into question whether he technically should be a senator.
Well, that is a bigger question, in my opinion. And yes, if they prove that he did that through this step, that will be the next logical step, is that they're going to try to remove him because he didn't live there, et cetera, et cetera. Look, I hate Adam Schiff. Hate him. I hate him. Hate him. Hate him. I think he is the biggest anti-American piece of shit that walks in this country. He's up on the list, I should say.
He called the Benghazi 4 liars.
Yeah. He wants to
behind the desk.
Yep. He wants to see the fall of this country. As I said on my show, and I've said a couple times now, the Democrats want to take everything that is built in this country, remove the mechanism and the type of people that built this country into what it is, and then devour its resources. And Schiff is at the top of that list.
They also go back to the Hillary campaign. What was one of her campaign promises? That she was going to sign an agreement with Canada and Mexico to create a North American Union, sort of like the European Union, because they're out to push. And it's not a conspiracy. You can go to
they're off the world government.
United Nations. It's in their policy that they want to create a one world government.
Yep. And a lot of them say it outright. Oh, they may not say the words. You have to remember when you're dealing with these Democrats, most of them know what not to say, but they also know how to say what they want without saying what it is. They won't ever say socialism. They say democratic socialism, right? That's still socialism. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter if you have pancreatic cancer or ass cancer. It's still cancer, right? It doesn't matter which one it is. They're both horrible and need to be dealt with immediately. So socialism, they know that they can't say we want wide open borders. A couple of them do, but you can't overtly call for that most of the time and get away with it. So now they'll say things like, well, we need more abilities for migrants to freely move through the countries and yada yada yada. And people have the right to be here. That's the one thing that kills me. People have the right to be here. Unless you're a citizen, no, you don't.
No.
You don't have the right to be here. You get, and they say, well, they have the same constitutional rights. No, if you get arrested, you're afforded constitutional rights as anybody else who gets arrested. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to be Mirandized. Fourth Amendment comes into play, et cetera, et cetera. That's if you're arrested for an outright crime. You shoplift, you DUI, whatever. You get those protections in court, but you're not guaranteed the same thing as citizens are in every other aspect of it. And that is a lie that is perpetuated immensely. So yeah, you know, I know we went off topic, but you brought up Hillary, and that's your fault because it makes me rant. But you talk about Adam Schiff. I haven't read enough of the details to be 100% convinced that it's going to go somewhere criminally. I think a phantom just flew behind you.
Yes.
I haven't seen it, but
Coffee phantom.
they'll probably, must be nice. Hey, can I get it? Oh, that's right. Nobody's here. I'm kidding. The cat's outside. They're living alone, folks. No, but it's one of those things that the if they get them, great. It would not shock me if he found a way to file the paperwork to avoid criminal prosecution, but ends up getting civilly penalized because it's Adam Schiff and he's a piece of garbage. I would love to see him prosecuted. Look, he's on the list of people I'd love to see perp walked, but again, for a legitimate reason, because I still believe in the rule of law, and I don't believe that people should just be locked up because I politically agree with or disagree.
See, that's why I have not got on the bandwagon. I want to see perp walks now. I want to see perp. No, that's revenge. That's not justice. Justice does take time. I want them to build a solid case.
Yep.
I don't want something where they're arresting willy-nilly and then the person walks away scot-free.
Because we were all pissed when they were doing it to Trump.
Yeah.
When they were fabricating shit. We don't want that.
No.
I know there are people out there who are pissed and they say, you know, it's revenge is okay and this, but you have to think of the future generations and the legal precedents that sets, and we just don't need that. Now, the Chris Murphy thing, I haven't heard anything about, so explain it to me.
Chris Murphy, he had went out in brain fart.
They say Chris
gave
Murphy,
a speech and said how he had an illegal living in his house and he dared everybody to come get him.
Well, look at what they did to the judge in New Mexico that had the illegal immigrant.
No longer a judge.
Yep. So anything's possible. I mean, I'll tell you right now, should cases like that, if the probable cause is there, be prosecuted 100%. 100%. You have to stem the flow. And one of the things that we have
that was like a good 5 months ago, at least, that he made that comment. It's been a while since he made that comment. So, I mean, they've done the investigation, and for them to be doing a
subpoena,
I'm pretty sure they found some.
Well, what they want is to get them under oath.
Yeah.
That's what they want. Excited utterance in a situation is admissible. I would count a speech as an excited utterance because you're saying it of your own free will and you're saying it in a public place. It's no different than if you have committed a homicide and you went to a public place and said, hey, I committed this homicide. That's admissible. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just like any other evidence. You can always try to counteract it, but that doesn't mean that it gets thrown out immediately because you weren't under oath. You know, and we run it. You have to explain that to people because we live in a society where if people think if it's not on video recording, it didn't happen when it comes to illegal shit. You don't have me on video. You can't prove that. I don't have to have you on video. That's just a tool. That's a prong. That's a part of it. That's not the actual.
See, that's one of the issues I have down here with my local sheriff's department, because their famous thing is, if I didn't see it, I can't do nothing about it.
Right. And
how do you solve murders, asshole?
Right. You can do something about it, even if you only read a report and document it for this time. And, you know,
well, it got so bad that IA got involved and told them you need to stop saying that because that's actually
false.
Can get you in trouble.
Oh, no. If I had probable cause if I developed probable cause through the course of investigation, even if I didn't see it,
Yeah.
I could arrest somebody for it. I mean, that's
You
just
got 3 witnesses saying the same information, then you
yeah.
get
I mean, every case is different, and there are times where I'm like, no, I'm just going to refer this over to the detectives to follow up, and then if they want to bring it to a prosecutor, they can, But it just depends on the information that I developed at a scene, and that's how it works. That's literally how it works.
yeah. But it's so what we don't have you on video. I mean, what did we do as a country before we had video?
Exactly. And look,
It just
mean,
makes it easier with video. I mean,
I didn't have to deal with body cameras, and when I was working, I didn't have to deal with phones everywhere.
you
All of
just
that
reminded
changed.
me.
I actually had to do real work, and I had to investigate it.
There is a town in the United States, and I can't remember where, and they now are talking about making the police officers wear body cams off duty.
Yeah, no, it'll never pass.
Well, if he comes across the scene off duty and he has to act and he
No,
has to
doesn't matter.
in
You have a
a,
right to
a
privacy in
violent,
your private life.
I know I mean, this guy
there's already been lawsuits for stuff like that where they've tried to cross over into their private life, and unless they've committed a crime or done something so morally corrupt to get fired, they can't do anything about it. So
well,
no,
he was going on if a cop has to intervene in it during that intervention, it goes to deadly force. We need video of it to prove it. And
no, we don't. Shootings happened before body cams. Shootings were investigated before body cams. I mean, I will tell you, I was adamantly against body cameras for the longest time because I knew it was going to get to this point that if you didn't have a body cam, that it didn't happen. That was my biggest thing, is that there was going to be so reliant on it. And it's to me, it's like, okay, if cops aren't the only bad people that have the opportunity to do bad things that are public servants, how come they're the only ones that have this level of expectations? Firefighters. You hear horrible stories of things of firefighters. Not all firefighters are bad. Hardly any of them are. Legitimately, 99% of firefighters are probably awesome folks. I'll never say that to their face, but they are.
You just did.
I have friends who are firefighters. You know what I mean? I have beyond Joe.
I've gotten it. Well, I will call out police when I think they've done wrong, and I've called out my local sheriffs because I don't agree with how they do things. Doesn't mean that I'm anti-police.
Right.
I want my police acting appropriately.
But you also have school teachers. Look at how many school teachers, females, have been arrested for inappropriate, and I'll outright say it, SA against juveniles. Right.
I just want to know where the hell were those teachers when I was in school.
It's no different. It's no different than a guy was doing it. And I keep telling people that. I don't know where the outrage is about it, because if it's a male, and appropriately so, people get outraged. They go crazy. They lose their shit. But if it's a female, they always start talking about like what's happening in her life at this point. Doesn't matter.
I know.
It does not matter. But how come teachers, they're public servants, how come they're not being forced to wear body cameras? Firefighters, like I said, all of the doctors, how come doctors don't have to wear body cameras? Doctors kill more people than cops do, folks, by accident. That's a
Hillsborough
statistic.
County school system, the buses, every bus has a camera. I think
but how come the teachers don't?
I know.
How many times have you heard horrible things that we've seen on video where kids have use their cell phone to record? How come they don't have to wear a body camera from the time you get to school to the time you leave? Boop, you got to wear a body camera.
Yeah.
Right.
And
the other thing that you're starting to see, because one of the benefits of body cameras is it's saved a bunch of cops from frivolous lawsuits, because they just pull up the body camera and they're like, really? So you punched the cop and then he punched you back, but you're claiming that it was excessive force? No.
They're actually in some departments are starting to put cameras in the back of the ambulance. To get that material, it's harder to get that video, but it's there to protect
the HIPAA and all that stuff.
But it's there
to protect the paramedics.
Yeah. Well, he raped me while I was in the back of the rig. Well, the video is going to say whether he did or not.
Right. Or they didn't do enough. I mean,
exactly.
They weren't doing enough. They let him die. Right. You've seen that with body cameras, but now what you're starting to see is, I don't want you turning that body camera on in my house. I don't want that camera on while we're talking. I don't want to. They're pushing back against the cameras now because it's been used to convict and to get cops out of trouble far more than it's gone the other way. All they've done is body cameras is prove what we've been saying is 99% of cops are really good.
Yep.
Half Half of that 1% make a bad decision where it's not a crime of evil, or they're not, they don't have hate in their heart. They just make a bad choice. And the other 0.5% are shitbags.
Yep.
But 99% of cops are great as far as their moral standpoints. I mean, their tactics and all that other stuff we can argue all day long.
Oh, did you see the issue with Connecticut State Police officer that's going viral?
No.
Look up Long Island audit. He's one of the First Amendment auditors. No, he's actually very down the middle with it. He went to a state trooper's house to ask him some questions. He went up, rang the doorbell, stepped back off the porch. Trooper told him that he's to leave immediately. And they've had interactions in the past that weren't that great. The auditor immediately started walking away. The state trooper went inside, shut the door, grabbed his gun, went back out, went after the Citizen Journal, whatever you want to call him. And I mean, he was a good 50 feet away, and the trooper tracked him down, bumping him, chest bumping him, had his gun in his hand the whole time, screaming, I'm a state trooper.
Yep.
So how that guy's still working right now.
Let me ask you this question, though. I just brought up people making bad decisions. How much has law enforcement come under the target of being ambushed? You look at what's going on with Homeland Security and DHS and ICE right now. How many times they're being targeted, right?
Well, this guy was actually taken off the street years ago because of his.
I understand attitude. That. I'll tell you right now, if that's me and you're an auditor, I don't know who you. I know you're an auditor, but that doesn't mean. Look, it doesn't mean that you don't have a gun in your shirt and you aren't pissed at me for something. You're going to blow me away, right? You just showed to me that you not only know where I live, but you're willing to risk your life to come to my front door to attack me, even if it's verbally or on camera, as a state trooper. You're
going and asking him about overtime. That's for a position,
totally
9 to 5
fine.
position.
Catch him at the station. You came to my house. My kids are inside. My family's
How many
inside.
times have you seen the regular news do that too? I mean, it's
but the regular news is different. They show up at the van and there's a reporter. There's not somebody who's trying to be TikTok famous.
Well, I'm not gonna. Yes, there is some that do that, but this one I'm gonna give.
Yeah, but
they've had interactions in the past. That's the thing.
You knew who he was. You process all of that in the moment. Maybe they did have, but
when you have someone walking away,
do you remember every single person that you treated as a paramedic?
If I see their faces, I probably would know them. Faces,
all of them.
Oh, trust me, these two know each other. They know each other because he even came out and said, "Oh, Reyes."
I'm just saying, in that situation,
the guy left immediately. Started retreat.
What I'm saying is, you get that adrenaline dump, fight or flight, and now it's my family. It's a different
animal. Then the trooper spit in his mouth.
Yeah, well, you get in trouble for that. That's fine.
No, in Connecticut, it's not against the law.
Well, that's
it's not an assault to spit on, but if you spit on a cop, it's a felony.
Well. And that's a Connecticut law, though. That has nothing to do with them. I mean, that was there before that situation. They didn't change the law.
I don't agree with how he reacted. I
understand that, but I'll tell you right now,
back into his house and then coming back out.
If I'm at home with my kids, and you come to my door to address something that I do as a cop, my immediate thought is, you just came to my house. You figured out where I live. And you want to confront me about something being a cop?
But if he would have done it off the bat, that's different. But him going into his house and then coming back out after he was in a safety.
Why wouldn't he go arm himself?
Yeah, but the person's retreated and you shut the door and you're coming back out and then you charge the guy down.
Yeah.
As he's retreating.
He just came to my house.
See that?
No, I disagree. The problem is, everyone puts the immediate onus on the cop to act like a cop at his private house.
See, I'm not even looking at it as a cop. I'm looking at it as a citizen.
Even then,
he going back into my house and coming back out armed. That's going to get me.
If I feel threatened by your actions, yeah, I'm going to go get my gun and we're still going to have a conversation about it.
But then you're the aggressor at that point.
No, I'm not. You instigate. That's like saying, if you punch me in the face and then go, "Oh no, I'm just a little guy," and start backing up.
No. That's a bad.
But what I'm saying is that mindset that you have right there of, well, he turned around and walked away. Yeah, but he already started this. He instigated this. This is a different conversation at that point.
Going up and knocking someone's door.
I think once you show up at a cop's house, like if you show up at a politician's house, you show up at a judge's house, you have crossed a line, and the consequences should be there.
You're going there.
You going to my private residence. This is private property. This is my domicile. This is my safe place. This is
you have a
where I
right to
live.
go up and knock on a door unless there's
No, you don't. You have the right to
trespassing.
come into my property.
I have a right to go up and knock on the door. If I'm told to leave, I must leave it immediately.
On a house is a lot different than in a public place, my friend.
No, even a house. I have a right to go up and knock on the door unless you tell
But
me
it's
not
not
to
just
go
the
there.
knocking on the door. It's everything you did to get to that point. You figured out where I lived. You decided to drive to my house.
That's
Not necessarily.
public
How is it public information?
Finding out where somebody lives is very easy.
If it's public, right? But you're still going through the motions to do it.
Okay, but going up to knock on someone's door is not trespassing unless you're told, or if there's signs that say no trespassing. Yeah, then I'll agree. But
my point is, you look at the totality of it. You've done all of these overt actions to get to my house, and you're doing it for something that I've done in the capacity of a cop. You're there now for the cop. You're not there now for the person, but I have my family inside. I'm not risking it.
Yeah, you see, I'm
not risking it. I don't think he should be expected to. You've crossed the line at that point.
He took it too far. I think the trooper lost his cool.
Yeah, maybe he did take it too far, but you also have to understand there's a big difference between going after me when I'm in uniform and sitting in a cruiser, and going to my house with my children inside. You're getting two different people. You want a cop, but you're about to get a motherfucker.
I'm not totally but going back in, that's where I think he blew it, and that's where a lot of people are talking about. And going inside and coming back out is where it kind of crossed along.
Sure, but that doesn't change the fact of his mindset at the moment. I just talked about a crime of passion, right?
Because all he has to do is at that point is, okay, he showed up at my house. Now I can get a restraining order against him to keep him from coming back to the house ever again.
Maybe.
Because
it becomes a crime of passion. You're not dealing with a cop right there.
Well, when you're dealing with a state trooper the whole time.
Yes, but you're still
claiming to be a cop.
The words are coming out of his mouth, but his mindset is entirely different. He's protecting his family.
But sitting there saying that he's a state trooper at that time, yes, I understand the mission, but that makes it.
He could say whatever he wants. He could say,
then it covers him underneath certain laws, saying he's a state trooper.
I understand that.
And you can't go both ways on that one, but
right. No, you absolutely can. Because when my adrenaline dumps, I get fight or flight, and I'm going to go through all my muscle memory. What am I trained in the academy? That stuff hits, but that doesn't mean that the initial mindset isn't, you just showed up to my house, motherfucker. What is wrong with you? My kids are here. You want to come see me at the station? No, fuck you. That's a totally different thing. Totally different mindset. Totally different mindset.
On this one, we're going to agree to disagree on.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm not saying you're wrong. It just.
I'm not saying I am either. No, I just think
you know what? This is why I love that we can have a difference of opinion. We're not cussing each other out, and no hatred at this point.
No, and I see your point entirely. I just don't agree with you that it's applicable.
The point I'm making is where do we see with liberals what they do? You don't agree with me.
I understand that, but he's going after him as a cop. What have liberals done? They've made it okay.
Well, okay, I see where you're going with that, but I'm going with liberals nowadays. If you don't agree, you're the enemy.
Yeah.
There's no no,
I'm not even mad at you. You can
have
whatever opinion you want.
No, but I'm making the point of what's going on in today's world where Republicans, where we can sit here and have this conversation and disagree on it, and boom. It's not going to change my opinion either way of the donut eater over here. Over here.
Other side.
But you can't do that with Democrats nowadays, because if you don't 100%. Agree 100%, you're the enemy.
There's still a few out there, individuals, not in mainstream media, not in politics.
I'm coming across on Twitter a couple.
Yeah, a couple of them where they're like, "Nah, I disagree with you, dude, but you're all right." Like, cool.
Yeah, I've had it. I've even called them out, saying, I had discussions where we didn't get the name call.
I do the same thing. I'll quote the tweet and be like, "Hey, this is how you disagree with somebody respectfully." Right? I'm all for that.
Wrong, but
right, but I still exactly. You can be 100% wrong as you are right now. No, but it's like on air, what was it, 2 months ago, I was disagreeing with a dude on X in the afternoon, and he actually turned on the show that night, watched a little bit, and said, "I can't believe how reasonable you are, blah, 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 blah." And I was like, "What'd you think I was? Like, I'm not a monster just because I disagree with you."
And I've said it, I treat people on X how they treat me. If you treat me with respect and you want to have a conversation, we'll have a conversation.
Yep.
But if you're going to come at me acting like a wild man,
Mhm.
I'm going to treat you the same way.
Yeah, no, yeah. It's almost like if I was a cop and you showed up to my house, I'm gonna treat you the same way.
You had to seen that one coming.
A mile away. That's great though. Hey, that's the power of being the host, right?
Well, you should still have control, don't you?
You know what? I haven't even tried. I might. I didn't even think of it because
Oh.
I'm not hosting, so I don't have all my stuff in place. I'm just here as a talking head.
Yeah, we got to get that done one of these days. Figure out the software.
No kidding.
Oh, there's
right?
so many things we got to do.
Lot to
When we
do.
go up the air, I do want to talk to you for a minute too. Before
Yeah,
we
of course.
got is there anything else you want to talk about? I mean,
No, I think we covered the big stories. Like I said, I think in the coming weeks, the release by DNI is going to Tulsi, which, by the way, to all the people that doubted her, she has been doing a pretty damn good job.
yes.
Even with the Iran thing, and actually somebody who worked in intelligence that had decent insight talked to me off air, and I promised I wouldn't say anything, but essentially said anything she said in the first couple months is information that she's being fed by the last administration.
Yep.
And she essentially said that when she corrected everything. So now I hats off to all the people that doubted Tulsi up until now. At least she's been doing a pretty damn good job.
That actually reminded me of one other thing. I think it was the New York Times, one of the New York papers, that was going on about how the nuclear reactors weren't damaged in Iran. And now they're coming out going, no, they're pretty damaged. It's going to take years. Now, all of a sudden, the different stories are coming out. But it's always...
Oh, those won't make the headlines. That's page 8 shit right there.
Yep.
You know, that falls under the section of, and a correction to our top story from 3 weeks ago where we said X, Y, and Z. None of that actually happened, and we apologize.
Yep.
That's exactly what it is now. And it's ridiculous, and it's just an insight to how just garbage media is in this country. You know, I say it all the time. The biggest problem with our media, and Fox News even to a point, is they claim to be news when they're almost all opinion. I mean,
Yes.
There's no news on any, I mean, to a point. I'll give
Maybe
Fox's
5%.
morning show, and Trace Gallagher's show is news, and then they discuss the news, but they'll present actual news. Bill Hemmer and Dana Perino, I think, do a pretty good job of the news. And yeah, they have a few little moments of saying X, Y, and Z, but most of the time they're discussing news. You don't see that on the other shows. It's all opinion all the time. Wolf Blitzer is just a commercial for Democrats.
Yeah.
I thought Sean said Foxy and not Fox. Yeah, Foxy that's a term that I still use from the 80s.
Well, when CNN first came out, it was actually news. They would just sit there and talk about what the news was, and this is what's going on, and these are the
I do have
facts.
another story.
Huh?
I do have another topic. I'm sorry, but you just
go ahead.
made me think. No, NPR and PBS being defunded.
Oh, I love it. I love it. For the Democrats pitching, I just have one question. Show me in the Constitution where it says it is required for them to get government tax fund, taxpayer money.
I said this earlier today on X, and I've said it all week. If they just stuck to Sesame Street, nature shows, Bob Ross, and This Old House, nobody probably would have said twice about re-upping it. But they've gotten into politics and opinion. They're trying to be CNN, MSNBC, and they're trying to do it with government money, and you just can't do that.
No.
Look at C-SPAN. C-SPAN doesn't get a dollar of government funding. They're private, They cover all the gavel to gavel stuff. They're all business for the most part. They have a couple call-in shows. They have a couple talk shows, but it's not opinions. It's about
They
what
allow
happened
people to
today.
call in with their opinions, but the host does
The
not
hosts
give.
don't. Yeah, no, C-SPAN does a really good job of that. Yeah, no, they're fielding calls like a radio station would. Okay, this is the story. This is now. Do you want to talk about what happened at the oversight committee today? Yeah, I think X, Y, and Z. Okay, we have this lawyer on who's going to explain to us why the process said this. Do you have any questions? That's fine. I'm okay with that. And they're private. So NPR and PBS should look at C-SPAN and see how they run business and maybe be able to find a way to recreate themselves.
But
And
I'm
by the
sorry,
way,
people are not going to die over PBS and
nobody's
NPR
going
losing
to,
fucking money.
no one's going to Sesame Street for a weather alert. Jesus, can you stop it? And in the day and age of these, where 70-year-olds and 80-year-olds are using phones and they get all of the alerts on them that are mandatory from the government, the
Hillbillies in the
emergency alert
Appalachian
system.
Mountains have them.
Yep, the emergency alert system works on everything. There's no, that's, oh, these people, they're going to die because they won't get the weather report. Show me one hot weather chick on PBS.
Yeah.
Show me an ugly weather chick on PBS.
But let's also
Show
go.
me
Let's go to the Texas flood.
Mhm.
The alerts went over the phone and radio and all that, and yet we still had because they didn't have sirens.
Right. That's a local community thing that was wrong.
Yeah, they're trying to
The
blame it
government-
now on the governments when it was the people voted not to spend that money.
Right. It's a state government thing. It's a local issue, and it's tragic. Don't get me wrong. It doesn't make it any less
Phone alerts
tragic.
went out. Phone alerts went out. I
Yep.
get them all the time with Hillsborough County, and for some reason, I get North Carolina alerts on my phone. Drives me up a wall. I get a phone call when there's storms in North Carolina.
So the city I grew up in is really funny that I've had the same cell phone number since I want to say 98, 99. I've had
Okay.
the exact same cell phone number, right? Before I moved out of Boston, it's when you could first start signing up for phone alerts. It was the robocalls, right? So if there was a snowstorm coming or whatever, you'd get the phone number from the city, said, hey, just so you know, there's a snowstorm coming, blah, 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 blah. Well, they must have uploaded all of their numbers to the alert system. I get alerts from the city that I used to live in and I don't know how to get off the list.
I can't get off this one out of North Carolina.
I get them all the time. I'm like, oh crap, there's a manhunt near me. And I'll look at the address and I'm like, yeah, not even close to me. Like that is 100%.
Drives me up a wall.
So yeah, no, it's
No,
there.
but
The notifications go out. Everybody's got a cell phone. Look, even if your cell phone's not operational, if it is cut off, it does two things. It'll call 911.
Yep.
And it will give you all the emergency alert systems and amber alerts and silver alerts and all the other stuff.
And we're getting to the point of satellite connections with your cell phone that we're not going to have connection issues.
Did the bard sneak in here? A cosmic bard did sneak in here.
Hey,
I didn't even see that.
I didn't either.
He just one word evening. He snuck in so sneakily.
I know it's I don't know. What really drives me up a wall. These idiots on the left.
Anti-gravity boots.
What?
You said what really drives me up a wall, and I said
Oh.
anti-gravity boots.
They constantly sit there. We're not biased. We're not biased. We could call it down the middle. We got you on it's all on the internet. It's on video. We see it time and time and time again. And they think, to me, it's almost insulting because they're telling us we're too dumb to realize that.
Yes. Well, and you look, and I had a graphic that I had on my show for Wednesday night where it showed, I think they had like 93 in the last 6 months, or maybe it was 3 months, 93 pro left stories and 2 pro right. And then you look at guests, and the guests were like 152 liberal leftist guests, 0 conservatives on NPR and PBS. It's just, I mean, look, I say this all the time. I would rather you just be honest about it.
Yeah.
Just be like, Yeah, you know what? No, we're very, very liberal because that's what our audience likes. Okay. But to say we're not liberal when there is mountains of information that you're liberal, left-leaning, absolute socialist garbage bullshit, and then you're like, that's not us. And I played her tweets from the Mar, the CEO of PBS. I
Yeah.
played her. I read her tweets on the show Wednesday night. You're not biased?
Yeah.
Cut the shit.
And I'm not
Look,
fat.
exactly. I'll tell you right now, the greatest thing, and talking about bias in news, the other thing that comes with Trump suing Rupert Murdoch and the Wall Street Journal is you can't say Fox gives him a pass on everything because Rupert Murdoch is Fox.
Yep.
And Trump's suing him for it. So
Well,
yeah,
I get tired of the excuse of Fox because who's running Fox? It's not Rupert Murdoch anymore.
no, it's Paul Ryan.
Well, his sons are in charge now, and they're
but Paul Ryan's on the board, and he is one of the
top ones, right? But his
one of the
sons are the
members-
ones that took over Rupert's positions, and 2 of the 3 are
right
lefty loonies.
Well, that's because Rupert Murdoch couldn't keep his hands to himself. From what I've heard.
Yeah, but
you
his
look
niece
at,
is hot.
was it Monica Crowley and who else sued him for it?
Oh yeah.
No,
But his niece is hot.
I don't even know who it is.
Have you ever watched the TV show Fringe?
No.
There's the blonde that's on that show. Now I'm gonna have to look it up.
Sure. I believe you. I barely watch TV anymore.
Oh, this show's older. Come on. Anna Torvo.
Yeah, I still have no idea who it is.
Yeah, look it up. That's
okay.
Well, it's his wife.
I'm the worst person to play this game with. Everyone does. I was like, oh, have you seen so and so on so and so? I'm like, nope. They're like, really? I'm like, dude, I watch shows where now like I get educated. I learn something new that I haven't learned before. Because so many shows now have to have a meaning at the end of it, or they have to have and I just can't deal with that shit, so I watch shows like the Grand Tour that just make me laugh because it's just literally 3 jerk friends who just jerks to each other for an hour straight, and it's hysterical.
Well,
that's the kind of stuff.
Fringe is more a science fiction type show,
Sci-fi thing. Yeah, I've heard of it. I just don't watch any of that stuff anymore.
Yeah, well, I don't. I watch TV, but I don't have cable. I watch a lot of older shows and that stuff.
By the way, speaking of because we're kind of going down the community or the pathway of entertainment. Somebody did a movie review of the new Fantastic Four. I'm not going to get into the plot. I don't care. I'm not going to get into the story. Don't care. But in their review, they were talking about how the score was good, the story was good, blah, 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 blah. I don't know what he was trying to write, and I don't know if he was a big reviewer or if he's not. I don't know. But he said, this movie beats you off in the seat. And I was like, and somebody posted, and I think it was Amy again who posted from KLRN, who posted, nobody said that this movie was going to come with a happy ending, but here we are. And I thought that was the funniest damn thing. And I said, I don't care what they're doing. They're still not getting me back in the theaters. It's not going to work.
Yeah, I'll wait till it comes out, but that one I have no plans on watching. From the highlights I've seen, looks like they've ruined it.
They've everything Disney touches turns to shit, and I'm not giving them money anymore. Not.
It's getting ridiculous. Like you said, everything has to have meaning, and I want to go to the movies to escape reality.
I was more forgiving until Snow White came out. When Snow White came out, I said, I'm done. I'm just done. Like, because I like the Marvel movies. I like the good Marvel movies. There was a bunch of them, but there was a good one. I like some of the Marvel shows that came out. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
The Star Wars stuff was okay, but
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was good. Yeah, Mandalorian. I like the Mandalorian. There was a couple of them that were really good.
Even the Boba Fett one, I liked.
Mandalorian. They lost me. The Book of Fett. Mandalorian. They lost me when they fired Gina Carano.
Yep.
I was like, nope, done. Now I'm not watching that.
Obi-Wan Kenobi one. That one I like. They're trying to get a second season.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you right now. I don't know why we're doing movie reviews all of a sudden. This is not what we normally do. Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi might have been the greatest casting choice ever.
Yeah.
I'm not even kidding when I say that. Out of all the people I've ever been cast in the movies, he was perfect.
He fit it. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. He was what you would think a young Alec Guinness as Obi-Wan would be. And it also does an amazing job for the prequels, or sorry, for the originals, of showing why Obi-Wan in that first movie was still badass enough to go toe to toe, even though he was an elderly guy. It did a great job. And actually, I'll tell you right now, the God, it was a cartoon series. The one that started Ezra Bridges' story, and Freddie Prinze Jr. played the Jedi that was training him. I can't think of it, but that was actually a fantastic series because that was where they brought back Darth Maul and they had the fight in the desert between him and Obi-Wan when he was protecting Luke.
Clone Wars?
No, it wasn't Clone Wars. It was after Clone Wars.
Rebel?
In the timeline, it took place after. But Della, I appreciate it. I will look it up. I promise. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And thank you for moderating and thank you for joining us this evening. It was in the timeline. It took place after Clone Wars and before the original Star Wars movie.
See, I never got into the cartoon ones.
Oh, see, I at the time I had a 5-year-old son who loved it, and of course he loves it because it's just Jedis. And I actually started following the story. I'm like, this is really good story. I mean,
I'm not saying this. It didn't. They couldn't. My daughter loves the Bad Batch.
Yeah, Bad Batch is supposed to be fantastic.
Yeah, she's really into that. I just never got into the cartoon ones. I don't know why. It's just
gosh. I'm trying to think of. It's gonna kill me because
you remember later on tonight. You'll be like,
so 100%. And I hate. And I'm actually not looking it up now.
I'm going to be really bad here. What I got into lately, Grey's Anatomy.
Really?
It's not what I thought it was going to be. It really isn't that bad.
Okay.
I'm only on like season 7, but
I'll tell you for as far as Star Wars Rebels. That's what it was.
I said Rebels.
Did you? I think you said Clone Wars. I didn't.
Well, I said Clone Wars, then Rebels.
I have the entire series of Clarkson's Farm that I have to watch. It's on Amazon. It's Jeremy Clarkson from the Grand Tour and Top Gear, the British guys. But he bought a farm and has no idea what he's doing. But the show is to show how bad farming has got in England and how hard it is for British farmers to actually operate and make money. And it's incredible for that. He started a whole movement in England. Like,
is he the one that started where they're dropping manure off at politicians' house?
No. They've been doing that for years. The French started that, of course. I'll tell you, I don't know what happened to France because they used to be badass and then they turned into pussies somewhere around World War II.
I'll never sell my house to a French guy because I don't want a German to own it.
Oh, we need to wrap this up because this isn't going to get any better.
All right. Tell them where they can find you.
Every Monday and Wednesday right here on SHR Media with the Edge of Liberty, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 on the East Coast, on all the different outlets. And you can find me on the number 2 Against Tyranny on X. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate it, my friend.
No problem. All right, bud. See you in a few minutes.
Hang up.
There we go. All right, guys, that's going to be the show. I want to thank everybody that was here in the chat, and I really appreciate everybody. I really, really do. But I do want to call out, and here's your call to action. Which government abuse of power do you think the media is still covering up, and why do you think they're hiding it? Sound off on X at Jersey Joe Talks. Tag me, quote, tweet the show post, or drop it in the replies. The most savage take might get it on the next episode. And that's going to be the show. I'll be back Monday as normal, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And until then, everybody have a great weekend.